This is a history that should never be forgotten at the lips of every Biafrans out there. This message, let it go viral. In case you get this message, I have watched it before. Play it for your children. They need to get hold of this message. Let it sink into their brain. This is a part of the history they don't want us to know concerning 1966, 67, 68, 69, and 1970. This message need to create a kind of molecules on our brain for we to be able to be meditating on it day and night, to know where we belong, where we are going, and where we are coming from. Please, if you have seen this message before, do not call it an old news. I know how I dig to bring out this message. And the question at the title of this message is, who killed Major Ojukwu Nzeogwu? Who did it? Till today, Gowon have never told us who did it. Obasanjo have never told us who did it. Mumu Muhammadu Buhari never told us, or tell us rather, who killed Major Ojukwu Nzeogwu. That is what you are about to watch in this episode. I told you, or I told us rather, that I will go any length to make sure that I dig out some important informations that will make you to stand strong in this struggle for the independence or the emancipation of the people of the southeastern region or old southeastern region, because everybody is involved. That south, I don't want to hear it from the mouth of anybody again. They are old eastern region. They don't have no anywhere they have west or north. It's only in the south they come out, divide and rule, conquer them. Then they give us south. So my people, I want you to help me to share this message. If you cannot listen to it, skip, but make sure you share, you like, you comment. And if you never subscribe and you are watching, make sure you subscribe. Let us go there.
His name was Patrick Chukwuma Kaduna Nzeogwu. When Nzeogwu joined the Nigerian army, like every other young officer of that time, he may have had the ambition to one day grow to the enviable rank of the general and then retire from the service. But his life ambition would be cut short in a more complicated manner, and in the same way, he subjected others. So, who killed Major Kaduna Nzeogwu and how did he die? Welcome to this edition of Hispo Media. Gabriel here. Major Kaduna Nzeogwu died on the 29th of July 1967. While there is consensus about how Nzeogwu died, what has remained disputed is who killed Kaduna Nzeogwu. While many people have alleged that Nzeogwu was murdered in a plot by Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu to eliminate him for opposing the idea of the secession of the eastern region, others claimed perhaps that he was killed while trying to defect to join the Nigerian army. As always, the truth is somewhere in between and much more simple than you think. But first, why is this important? In March 1957, the charismatic and disciplined young Nzeogwu joined the Nigerian regiment of the Royal West African Frontier Force against the wishes of his parents. Kaduna Nzeogwu was a Nigerian army major who took part and went on to play a leading role in the first military coup of January 15, 1966. He was directly involved in the murder of many military officers and politicians in the north, including the Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello. What happened after the coup is not quite as expected, but will shape the future of the country to this day. However, for his role in this coup, Major Kaduna Nzeogwu was imprisoned by the military regime of Major General IGBOS at the notorious Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison in Lagos. His co-conspirators were also initially detained there, but many of them were later moved to prisons in the eastern region. For instance, Major Ifeajuna was detained in Uyo prison in present-day Akwa Ibom State. Ademoyega and Onwatuegu were imprisoned in Enugu prison. Captain Ben Bule was detained in Abakaliki prison, while Major Chukwuka and Captain Umoboshi were all imprisoned in Owerri prison. Nzeogwu was the only officer among the plotters that was moved to Aba prison. After he was overthrown in July 1966, Nzeogwu remained in prison until he was released in March 1967 by the Eastern Region's military governor, Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu. But not long after his release from prison, Nzeogwu had a brush with Ojukwu. Before anything could be mustered by Nzeogwu, his activities were curtailed after his release from prison. He and Ojukwu did not see eye to eye. Nzeogwu was never enthusiastic about secession from Nigeria. In 1967, Nzeogwu articulated his view in an interview with Dennis Ejendu. According to him, unquote, secession will be ill-advised, indeed impossible. Even if the East fight a war of secession and wins, it still cannot succeed. Personally, I don't like secession, and if this country disintegrates, I shall pack up my things and go. In the present circumstances, confederation is the best answer as a temporary measure. In time, we shall have complete unity. End of quote. But as you or anyone else would expect, this interview did not go down well with Ojukwu. And as you may know, this interview became the last official statement attributed to Nzeogwu before his death. Meanwhile, relations between Ojukwu and Nzeogwu deteriorated further as Nzeogwu made no secret of his desire for a united Nigeria. Even though the war between Nigeria and Biafra was imminent, in April 1967, Ojukwu suspended Nzeogwu from all military activities. This time, the immediate pretext was Nzeogwu's involvement in a battle simulation military training exercise in Abakaliki and other towns in the eastern region. As you may know, the previous year, Cardinal Nzeogwu had turned the nighttime training exercise Damisa into a full-blown coup. So, Ojukwu was scared, or I would say, was being careful, and placed a ban on all such exercises. Not only did he ban such exercises, the relation between Ojukwu and Nzeogwu got so bad that Ojukwu was said to have considered putting him back in prison. On the 17th of June 1967, Nzeogwu wrote a letter to his friend, Olusegun Obasanjo. In this interview, Nzeogwu confessed, quote, "You have no doubt heard a lot of rumors about my relations with Ojukwu. We obviously see things quite differently after what he did to my supporters in January 1966. He is also worried about my popularity among his own people. I was to be put back in prison, but he was afraid of repercussions. Right now, I am not allowed contact with troops, nor am I permitted to operate on the staff. One gentleman's agreement we have is that I can carry on with whatever pleases me." Interestingly, even at this late stage, Nzeogwu was still entertaining fantasies of Nigerian unity and a desire to reintegrate the Nigerian army. He continued, quote, "I will create a new Nigerian army inside Biafra with Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba and all other ethnic groups." End of quote. Major Cardinal Nzeogwu was a human figure who would inspire many people and frighten many others with equal measure. He was a personality cult, and a kind of hero worship grew around him in the eastern region, and he was being celebrated as an immortal and indestructible warrior. Although Ojukwu gave Nzeogwu the Biafran rank of brigadier, he was not given any formal command in the Biafran army. Despite not being officially part of the Biafran army command, Nzeogwu was not the type of character that would remain idle. Right from his days with the Nigerian army, his impulsive and rebellious nature towards superior officers has often been well documented. Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Awuna went as far as to describe Nzeogwu as follows: "He was a radical and inwardly insubordinate young officer who was full of his own ideas and probably thought that he had answers to all problems. His statements and comments at that time gave me the impression that he would become insubordinate and he had no regard for senior officers." So, Ojukwu may have seen him in the same light. But despite his restrictions as noted earlier, Nzeogwu did not allow himself to be idle. When he became frustrated at his exclusion from military duties, Nzeogwu started to organize informal guerrilla raids against the Federal Army positions. he would impulsively constrict other soldiers to join him during these raids. One thing is not clear, however, and that is a question of whether these military conscriptions and raids were authorized by Ojukwu. Whatever may be the answer to this question, it later became clear that junior Biafran foot soldiers were reluctant to be conscripted by Nzeogwu. That is because conscription by Nzeogwu means being taken to the front line and facing grave danger. But Nzeogwu was brave enough to cross behind enemy lines, carry out reconnaissance, and engage Federal Army in close quarter combat. But in July 1967, his courage took him a step too far. But I will get to that shortly. Meanwhile, Nzeogwu was admired and feared in equal measure. He was admired for his intelligence, warmth, and charisma, but was feared because of his suicidal courage, and this may have played a part in his death. On this fateful day, 29th of July 1967, Nzeogwu had gone out on a reconnaissance mission in the Nsukka sector of the war. He was traveling in an improvised armored vehicle known as the Biafran Red Devil. The highly ingenious Biafran engineers had converted a Bedford truck into an armored vehicle which they used to penetrate enemy lines. As can be seen in this image, the vehicle was cumbersome despite its impressive ingenuity. The vehicle became immobilized and was surrounded by federal troops of the 21st Battalion at a roadblock near the University of Nigeria Nsukka campus. Some sources specify that the 21st Battalion was led by Captain Mohammed Inuwa. Others stated that the troops that opened fire on Nzeogwu's armored vehicle were led by Captain Abubakar Gora. The improvised armored vehicle withstood their bullet until it was attacked with a fearsome 106mm recoilless rifle which pierced its body. Ironically though, the 106mm recoilless rifle was the same anti-tank weapon that Nzeogwu and other soldiers used in January 1966 to attack and destroy the official lodge of the Sultanate of Sokoto. However, at this point, different accounts have been offered as to what really happened to Nzeogwu. The first account was given by Olumanda, a former military driver of General Donkat Bali, who claimed to have witnessed the incident. According to him, Nzeogwu and other 2 or 3 occupants in the vehicle were killed while still inside the vehicle. He said the occupant of the vehicle was not known until Nzeogwu's body was dragged out. However, Major General Mohammed Shua and Abdullah Hishelein, who were not present when Nzeogwu was killed or saw his corpse, had a different story. According to them, while being fired at, Nzeogwu jumped out from the vehicle, shouted in Hausa, and identified himself as Major Nzeogwu, but was still shot dead anyway. Nzeogwu's corpse was identified by Lieutenant Abdullah Hishelein, who ordered that it should be stored firstly in the University of Nigeria Nsukka campus at Enugu. However, it is said that by the time Abdullah Hishelein arrived, Nzeogwu's eyes had been plucked out in what appears to have been a ritual mutilation. According to Hishelein, the soldier who shot Nzeogwu was ironically Nzeogwu's former batman. The corpse was later sent to the 1st Division headquarters in Makurdi, where the 1st Division commander, Colonel Mohammed Shua, informed the head of state, Major General Yakubu Gowon. Despite the fact that Nzeogwu was now technically an enemy soldier killed in combat against the Nigerian army, Gowon ordered that Nzeogwu's body should be flown to Kaduna and buried with full military honors. Even as the war raged on in the eastern region, Nzeogwu was given a befitting burial in Kaduna. And despite his actions during the January 15, 1966 coup, Nzeogwu was still respected by federal and northern troops, even in death. Major General Donkat Bali referred to him, quote, "A nice, charismatic and disciplined officer, highly admired and respected by his colleagues. At least, he was not in the habit of being found in a company of women all the time, messing about with them in the officers' mess, a pastime for many young officers then. We believe that he was a genuinely patriotic officer who organized the 1966 coup with the best of intentions, who was laid down by his collaborators. If we had captured him alive, he would not have been killed. I believe he probably would have been tried for his role in the January 15 coup, jailed and probably freed after some time. His death was regrettable. End of quote. Would you like to see a full video about the short but controversial life of Major Nzeogwu?
So that is the end of the story, the end of the history, the end of everything you need to know concerning the death of Major General Ojukwu Nzeogwu. Here are the comments. At Adetabo Kayode said, we appreciate your work and would like to watch the short but controversial life of Nzeogwu. Thanks once again for the appreciated video. Victor Gold said, thank you both for you this history, and once again I love your melody voice. Atayo Bami Odunlami said, your voice is always good to listen to, perfect for history narration. Kudos. Okonjo Mbosi, yes, you are right. Andy V15 said, please, I request that you make a video on the life of and times of Major Nzeogwu. Thank you. For me, I greatly appreciate your video uploads. God bless you, HSPO Media. Abangade Musa said, yes, I would like to see a full story on Major Nzeogwu's controversial lifestyle. Bola Salake said, I do agree with General Domkat Bali statement that Nzeogwu was a patriotic Nigeria but was betrayed by his colleagues. Anyway, thanks for the good job you are doing on Nigeria history. War is never a right solution to issues. Honest dialogue and bilateral agreement on equal ties. Solomon Nkemde, yes, we want the full video of what have transpired. Ansel and Paulino say, how about the other persons killed along with Nzeogwu? He or they were identified. You could have at least mentioned who they were. What would at least sort some people's nerves as whether Ojukwu had anything to do with his death or not. Waski Henry said, I don't know the rationale for this report. It is dubious and difficult to collaborate. The supporting documents. It serves no purpose for maligning the reputation of Major Nzeogwu. More importantly, you are soiling the name of Ikemba by implying that he eliminated Nzeogwu. This is a mere speculation without a concrete evidence. Just a chilling clickbait. Hey, while I know the finish, anyway, my people are here, we'll take back break. Like, share, comment, and make sure you keep subscribing to my channel for more interesting videos. I'll be right back. Kemesiano.